Hello, my name's Chris and welcome back. So I just want to give you or bring you some updates in this horrific case of the woman from Sims, Texas, Taylor Parker, also goes by the name of Taylor Morton. She's now being her name out in the mainstream media now seems to be Taylor Parker. This horrific case where she's murdered her friend and then cut out the baby from the womb and fled. Just an absolutely awful story. But I just want to bring you a few things. Just going to look at a couple of recent articles, just to bring you up to date with where things are, and also just had a conversation today with somebody who they wish to remain anonymous, but there are a couple of very interesting pieces of information that I can share with you that I think you'll be interested to know. So just to begin with, this article here, the main thing I just want to point out really is that this is the woman, Taylor Parker. This is the most recent photo that we have of her booked in to jail, and I just want to bring your attention to a couple of things here. So she appeared on Tuesday morning before the state district judge in McCurtain County, Oklahoma. She waived extradition from Oklahoma and is now in Texas custody. Jail records show that she's been held in the Bowie County Jail in downtown Texarkana. Jail records show the arresting agency as the New Boston Police Department, with pending charges of capital murder, first-degree murder, and kidnapping. At the time of that article, it said bail had not been set, but that has changed. Under Texas law, capital murder is punishable by life in prison without the possibility of parole or death by lethal injection. Now, we do know that the bail has been set now. It's been set at $5 million. As I say, she was extradited on Thursday morning. Bail was set at $5 million, $2.5 million for capital murder, $1.5 million for murder, and $1 million on charge of kidnapping. It just goes on to say about her name. Now, there are some rather disturbing details in the next article, just to warn you if you don't want to listen. And this came from the same outlet, Texarkana Gazette. Now, apparently, Taylor, when she was stopped, was performing CPR on the baby. She had the baby on her lap. If we just look through the article here, this is when the state trooper pulled her over, and it says the baby's umbilical cord was still attached and appeared to be coming out of the female's pants as if she gave birth to the child. So she has actually gone as far as making it look like the umbilical cord was attached to her when the state trooper stopped Taylor. This is according to the probable cause affidavit, which we haven't seen yet. An ambulance transported Taylor and the baby to McCurtain Memorial Hospital in Idabel, Oklahoma, where the baby was pronounced deceased, and doctors determined that Taylor had not given birth. The trooper first made contact with Taylor at 9:37 a.m. This was on October 9th, last Friday. At approximately 10:20 a.m. the same morning, the mother of Reagan, Hancock, 21, discovered her daughter's body in the living room of the home that she shared with her husband and her 3-year-old daughter in New Boston. Now, Taylor's boyfriend told investigators that he believed his girlfriend was actually pregnant and thought that he was meeting Taylor at the Idabel hospital around noon that day for an induced labour and delivery. And the boyfriend told investigators that he and Taylor had held a gender reveal party in celebration. When Taylor's mother called 911 mid-morning on Friday, she was screaming that someone had killed her baby. A large amount of blood was noted throughout the house, on the floor, furniture, walls, appliances and other items. Reagan was found lying face down on the living room floor. After learning Reagan was approximately 34 weeks along, just 6 weeks away from a full-term pregnancy, paramedics were asked to check on the status of the unborn child. When LifeNet personnel turned Reagan over, a large cut across her abdomen was revealed and it was determined the baby had been removed. Taylor allegedly confessed to an investigator with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation that she was not pregnant and admitted to having been in an altercation with Reagan. Taylor used a small scalpel to remove the unborn infant from the body. The affidavit states a small scalpel was found lodged in Reagan's neck during an autopsy by a Dallas medical examiner that had not been visible to investigators at the crime scene. As I say, it confirms the bail, which is $5 million, which has been set in Bowie County, and it confirms that they were indeed friends on Facebook. First Assistant District Attorney Kelly Crisp filed a motion for a court order to release and transfer evidence in the possession of Oklahoma authorities to officials in Bowie County. The motion refers to clothing, shoes, a cell phone, a purse, and its contents, including possible weapons. Under Texas law, capital murder is punishable by life in prison without the possibility of parole, or death by lethal injection. First-degree murder is punishable by 5 to 99 years or life, and kidnapping is punishable by 2 to 20 years in a Texas prison. And Taylor is being held at the moment in the Bowie County Jail. Now, as I said, I did speak to somebody earlier today. They wish to remain anonymous, and of course I will absolutely respect that. But as I look at this case and I try and understand just why a woman would do this type of thing, I mean, the absolute destruction and devastation that she has left behind to so many people is just unpalpable. And I mean, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who has been affected by this horrendous crime. But I just asked this person a couple of questions. It's somebody that actually saw Taylor a couple of weekends ago, and I asked did she look pregnant at that time, and did she talk about the pregnancy? As I say, this was just a couple of weekends ago that somebody saw Taylor whilst out shopping, and the person said no, she did not look pregnant at all, and we did talk about her pregnancy. I asked when she was supposed to have that sweet baby, and she said that the doctors were trying to keep her pregnancy as long as possible because the baby was so small. But I still didn't believe it because her belly never got big, and it was the small size through her whole pregnancy. So as we did see before, there were friends of the couple who, and people that knew them who were suspecting or very suspicious of this pregnancy. And I just went on to ask her about Taylor's boyfriend, because obviously a lot of people are going to be wondering, well, how come he didn't know? As far as I know, he is totally innocent in all of this. He has been questioned and he has been cleared. And this person added that Taylor was innocent, and from what they've heard, a friend, or from a friend, Taylor had him, the boyfriend, completely convinced that she was pregnant, and every time that she would go to the doctor, she would make him sit in the waiting room, saying because of COVID, and he had no idea that she was going to do this. So I can only presume that she was not actually going in to see the doctor, and I'm sure that obviously she couldn't have had any tests because it would have showed up, and probably any physical examination. So who knows what she was actually doing at that time. But I know it has happened before. People can be fooled by a woman claiming she's pregnant. They can be very inventive, very tricky in the way they go about, and very devious in the way they go about it. Okay, so this is a add-on to this video. This is a revision and edit. When I made the video that you've just seen, I was not in possession of the probable cause affidavit for this case, but I now have that. So I can go through that with you now. I'm going to read it for you, and hopefully it will help us sort of gain a bit more insight and some details into just this appalling crime that has occurred. So this is the state of Texas versus Taylor Renee Parker, and I can see it's put together by a Texas Ranger, and his name's Joshua S. Mason. So the probable cause affidavit reads as follows. On the 10th of September at approximately 12:04 p.m., I, Texas Ranger Joshua S. Mason, received a request from New Boston Police Department to assist in a capital murder investigation which occurred at 200 Austin Street, New Boston, Texas. I learned from speaking to New Boston Police Department Chief Gary McCrary at approximately 10:18 a.m. New Boston Police Department received a 911 call from a woman that went to her daughter's home and found her daughter deceased. Officers were dispatched to 200 Austin Street to investigate, and upon arrival identified Jessica Brooks as the 911 caller. Jessica Brooks was screaming that someone killed her baby. After I watched New Boston Police Department body camera video footage, I learned officers entered the home and found a white female on the ground in the living room of the house, face down, with a large abundance of what appeared to be blood throughout the house. A large amount of what appeared to be blood was located on the floor, furniture, walls, appliances, and other items in the home. The victim was identified as Reagan Michelle Simmons, also known as Reagan Michelle Hancock. Officers learned Simmons was approximately 34 weeks pregnant and requested EMS personnel to come to the scene and check on the status of the baby. The body camera footage from police shows LifeNet EMS turn Simmons' body over, which revealed a very large cut across Simmons' abdomen area. EMS personnel determined Simmons no longer had a baby in her stomach area. I later spoke to State Trooper Lee Shavers, and Trooper Shavers told me that he conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle in DeKalb, Texas, on the morning of the 10th of September at approximately 9:37 a.m. Trooper Shavers told me Taylor Parker was the driver and was holding a newborn infant in her lap. Trooper Shavers told me the umbilical cord was connected to the infant, which appeared to be coming out of the female's pants, as if she gave birth to the child. Trooper Shavers told me Parker was performing CPR on the infant, and LifeNet EMS came to the scene and transported Parker and the infant to a hospital in Idabel, Oklahoma. New Boston Police Department Chief Gary McCrary told me he was informed the Idabel hospital staff determined Parker did not give birth to the child that was in the care of the hospital. Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Chad Dansby responded to the hospital to investigate. I learned from Special Agent Dansby during the interview of Parker. She told Special Agent Dansby she was in a physical altercation with Simmons and abducted the unborn child. Parker admitted to leaving the residence of the assault after the abduction of the child. As the investigation continued, I interviewed Parker's boyfriend, Wade Griffin, who informed me that Parker told him and others that she was pregnant. Griffin explained to me Parker was supposed to go to the hospital in Idabel and pre-register for labour to be induced for the birth of their child on the 10th of September. Griffin said he was scheduled to meet Parker at the hospital about lunchtime for the birth of their child. Griffin told me they had a gender reveal party in celebration of the upcoming birth of their child. I interviewed Parker and she told me that she was not pregnant and admitted to being in a physical assault with Simmons. Parker used a small scalpel to remove the unborn infant from the body of Simmons and told me the scalpel she used was left at Simmons' residence. An autopsy was performed on Simmons at Southwestern Institute of Forensic Sciences in Dallas. A small scalpel was lodged in the neck of Simmons and was not visible to me at the crime scene. Parker caused the death of Simmons and abducted the unborn child from Simmons' body. Parker did not have consent to leave the home with the child, and due to the inability to provide necessary care to the child, Parker caused the death of the baby. It's just an unbelievable report, isn't it? How and why a woman would do that, I find it so hard to understand. I find it easier to understand if it was a woman that didn't have a child or could not have a child for whatever reason, but for someone to have two children as well and do this, it just sort of, to me, it just takes it to a whole new level of difficulty in trying to understand just what happened. A couple of people have commented on as well that are the two children that she has actually hers? And that's a very valid question. I don't know the answer to that. But a poor mother. Reagan's mother walking in and finding this scene, which there is just described as there's nothing else you could describe it as a bloodbath, and her daughter there murdered is absolutely sickening. And I can only reiterate that our thoughts go out to everybody who has been affected by this case. Poor Reagan. Supposed to be her friend, and she's befriended her during the whole pregnancy. Like I reported earlier, she even took her a Starbucks coffee and a baby gift the day before this happened, the day before she murdered her. Her pregnant friend. She's already got a little child and a husband, so excited about having another child. These kind of acts, just the only way to describe them is evil. They are pure evil, and it just brings to mind one thing that stuck in my mind that Reagan's mother said. She said somebody today has murdered my baby. It's Satan in the flesh, and I think it's difficult to argue with that, isn't it? When you see this kind of thing. But if we hear any more updates regarding this case, then we will let you know.